Well guys, after fully renovating my studio, it was time for a security upgrade. Now, if you haven't seen the first part of how we basically rebuilt the whole thing in DIY, I'd recommend you go and check it out. But if you're here today, maybe it's because you like the channel, maybe it's because you actually want to know about the security system and what can be a good option for cheap and what you should consider before buying a camera system. If so, let's get straight into it. Now, what we're using here today is Reolink products. Now, how did I discover the brand is back in the day, probably like 3 years ago. I was looking for a security system for my place and I just looked online, looked at all the reviews, the prices and stuff, and I bought some Reolink cameras and they have served me well so far. They were the first iteration with the solar panel, and basically what the solar panel allowed them to do is they were completely independent from the electricity in my house. So even if the electricity went off, the cameras would still be on, first thing, but also they would cost zero on my electricity bill, which is what I was looking for. They're also wireless cameras, so if you have basically a modem with a SIM, even if the Wi-Fi goes off in your house, you will still have the cameras running, which is what really makes them cool. So I reached out to Reolink and I was like, hey, I upgraded my studio. Do you want to send out a few of your cameras to try and check out the new model and to install them? And they said yes. So here we are with the latest model, and we have the Reolink Argus PD Ultra with the Reolink Solar Panel 2, the new revision. Now, these cameras definitely look a bit different than old school cameras, which would just point at a place, because you can rotate them, which is probably the coolest thing and makes installation much easier, guys. I don't want to tell you how tricky it was to actually get the angles right with like standard cameras. These are much better. They have 4K resolution and they are Wi-Fi and even support Wi-Fi 6. They also make a cabled version, which they also sent us. It's what I covered in my reel on Instagram in case you follow me there. And these are also cool, mostly for, I'd say, either indoor use or if you want to run all routed connections, because these also have the Ethernet port, whereas these are only Wi-Fi. Now, you don't have to run them solar. You can also just wire them to your electricity. But again, to save on money and to just make them basically able to run anywhere, you can literally place them in the middle of your garden. I went with the solar panel option. The only thing you're gonna need is a micro USB card to put in there, because how they work is they basically record your stuff, they store it into the SD card. Then if you want, you can also pay for the cloud, which I do. So I immediately have everything in the cloud as well. And then you can access it remotely from your phone and you can connect it to endless devices. So for example, what I have is I have them connected in a few of my friends' phones. So if the alarm goes off and if I cannot see it, they can see it. And now these have basically, they will detect if there is a person, a cat, or a car coming into place, so you can just set them. And you can also set how sensitive they are in the motion detection option, which is really cool, because let's say you place a normal camera with motion detection close to a tree. Wherever there is wind, the camera will start recording the tree. Whereas with these, you can just say, okay, don't record that area. You can just do it in the app, and they are extremely precise. Or if you mount one indoor, which I have also done, you can just set it to the maximum, because you know that if anything goes on indoor, you absolutely want to know, because you're not there. So there should be nothing moving indoor, if it makes sense. So they're really cool. The packaging is premium. You get basically everything to install it. You get the screws to mount them on the wall. You can also strap them to poles or to a tree. As I told you, you can mount them off-grid, which is also something they are proud of. And they look pretty nice, I think, in this full white aesthetic. I think looks nice with the little blue accent. They also give you some stickers to tell people that your place is basically secured by Reolink. And something really cool, which again we used in my Christmas present reel. Again, I will put it on the screen in case you haven't seen it. I thought it was fun. But they also have a very good night vision as well as some light. So if somebody basically crosses where the camera is, they will also know that like they're being watched, because the light will light off. And you can also put an alarm in there just to make some noise. The alarm, you might find it useful. Personally, I just like to have basically notifications on the phones connected. That's what I prefer, and to have just a clear recording of everything. Now, you don't have to use this strictly for security. You can also use them just to monitor stuff. So for example, now I have everything monitored. Let's say I am just walking around with a PC in my hand and I drop it and I break like a custom water cooling loop, like the one we have here behind me, which costs like a ton of money, and I am like desperate. but at least I have the video to show you guys. Am I right? So that's also a plus. But yeah, it's just a quick review. I just wanted to say that even the new version, I absolutely love it, and I can definitely recommend it for you guys. I will leave a link down below in case you want to check them out. And I want to thank Reolink for sending them over. Now, you guys let me know if you like this kind of review, and if you liked it, maybe consider subscribing to the channel if it's the first time you come here. But I have to tell you, the topic of the channel is not really cameras, but it is tech in general, and we do mostly computers, laptop, PC builds, and stuff like that. So hopefully I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.